the weekend. That's right, after a long, gruelling week working hard, you're finally at that precious 2-day gap where you can have some well-earned rest and relaxation. And if you like games as much as I do, that's exactly where you're going to spend some time. The question is, what game should you play? Let's face it, there's a lot of choice out there. So I have, after a lot of head scratching, put together a list of just 10 of my favourite video games to show you, hopefully, if there's some there you've not played, I might be able to inspire you to give them a go. Let's have a look. Here we go. South Park, The Fractured But Whole. When I first picked this up, I hadn't watched South Park since the very early 2000s. But within probably 10 minutes of playing, I realised just how funny this series was. Now, licensed video games have got a bit of a reputation, and it's well earned in many cases. But this is brilliant. A plot revolving around Cartman's plans to create a superhero franchise, very familiar turn-based combat, which any RPG player will be used to. Done very, very well, I hasten to add. This is like playing an extended episode or movie of the series. All the voice cast are here, voicing the roles that made them famous, and still do, of course, as well. The storyline here is just as crude, rude, and, quite frankly, obscene as you would expect from this show. And it is a blast. I cannot remember the last time I played a video game where I spent just as much time laughing as I did tense over the battles, hoping I would win with just 10% health left. If you like RPGs, if you like a laugh, if you like fun, play this game. Honestly, you'll have a blast. Destroy All Humans, the remake. The remake has been out for a little while now, and it is time to strap in and be Cryptosporidian yet again. It is just as crude and rude as you would expect, with fun guns like the anal probe, the disintegrator ray, and of course, you get to have a flying saucer. What more could you ask for? Good gun combat, nice open world exploration. Yes, it is a revamp graphically with the same gameplay as the original, but it still holds up beautifully, in fact. Not only is this a fun sandbox action game, it's a right laugh. Far Cry 5. Far Cry 5. Is this now the greatest Far Cry? Have we finally had an entry in the series better than Far Cry 3? I actually think yes. It's a very soft reboot. They took away a few of the items with the crafting and hunting of the animals to have a simple, more familiar point system to update it. They took away climbing the towers, yet they kept all the good stuff. The exploration, the exotic locations, the charismatic and strange villain that you kept wanting to see on camera, and of course the gunplay as well. Plus, you've got a new companion system, which adds an extra layer to the combat and how you approach things, especially when you're liberating those bases, by bringing them into the combat and using them effectively. I think this is absolutely brilliant, and far better than the latest entry, Far Cry 6. If you want to get lost for a few hours, go spend some time in Far Cry 5, liberate that town, take down the dictator, and have a blast while you're doing it. Tomb Raider 2013. You cannot go wrong with Tomb Raider. I've been captivated with this franchise ever since I played the first one on the original PlayStation, and I still am today. This Crystal Dynamics reboot is superb. They polished it all nicely, but kept the important things that we wanted. They kept the tomb raiding, they kept the exploration. The combat on this is the best of the series, I believe. If you want to escape for a few hours, go spend some time with Miss Croft. You won't regret it. SpiderMan II, the game. Based loosely on Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 movie starring Tobey Maguire, this game was, up until Marvel's Spider-Man, which was only released a couple of years ago, the best Spider-Man game they had made. That wasn't because all the others were bad, it was just because this was simply so good. With an innovative web swinging mechanic which really made it seem like the webs were sticking to the buildings, a decent combat system, a very, very well laid out city which won awards actually for its visuals and its layout and design, there was nothing better than swinging through the buildings as Spider-Man to take down the villains, because with great power comes great responsibility. Perhaps now is the time to revisit one of Spider-Man's greatest hits while we're waiting to the sequel to Miles Morales. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. After the rather disappointing Assassin's Creed 3, this was what the fans and the series needed to get back on track, and this still stands as my favourite Assassin's Creed game. You get to play an assassin and a pirate. What more could you ask for? It kept the traditional Assassin's Creed elements with the small towns that you find from port to port as you go about the Caribbean islands. You can do the classic parkour, the stealth assassinations where you can drop from above or sneak up on people from behind. There are very few follow missions, thank God, thank you for listening Ubisoft. And of course, the ship combat. Sailing the high seas, on your own pirate ship, singing sea shanties, what more can you ask for? Grand Theft Auto, the original. Now, it would have been very, very easy for me to simply put Grand Theft Auto 5 on this list. It's one of the greatest games of all time. I think personally only second to Red Dead 2, but that's my opinion. But we've been playing it all now for the best part of 10 years. Dare I say, there's a little bit of burnout there now. They are talking about Grand Theft Auto 6. Of course it will happen, but not for quite some time. So why not take a break and visit where it all began? This was groundbreaking in its day. You had actual swearing on a video game. That was new, believe it or not. You had an open world, something most of us hadn't played. You could steal things and kill people and run over innocent bystanders. Yeah, talking like this, it's not a wonder that my parents didn't like me having this game, actually. But either way, it was just so much fun. The hours that you put into GTA 5 now are equal to what we put into this. And there wasn't even an online mode because consoles simply didn't do that then. I appreciate the graphics have aged. I appreciate the top-down view isn't for everybody, although if you play dungeon crawlers like Diablo, you'll be relatively familiar with it. But just have some fun. This was Genesis. This put Rockstar on the map. And for very good reason. It's just good fun. And if you're like me, why not revisit it purely for nostalgia? Days Gone. This is a very different open world. We've been overcome by a zombie virus. Okay, not for the first time in video games, but they've done such a good job here because this is an open world that really can kill you at any moment. You sneak around to avoid letting the hordes know, scavenge anything you can, medicine, parts, weapons, of course, crafting items to upgrade, all the while riding a really cool motorcycle round this really treacherous wasteland. It's very different at night than during the day, as that's when the zombies come out, that's when the hordes come out as well. I really like this storyline, although it was criticised quite heavily, but to me, I thought it was good. I think they created a fantastic open world here, probably one of the most vibrant lived-in open worlds apart from GTA 5. And it is an absolute crime that we're not going to get a sequel. Because, to me, this is one of my favourite zombie games ever, apart from, of course, The Last of Us. If you want to get lost in an apocalyptic wasteland overrun by the undead, get on your bike and ride. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This was the first video game I ever played on my Sega Mega Drive, and I still think it holds up today. Sonic the Hedgehog games have been plentiful, however good ones, that's another story. This to me is still the best in the franchise. And the good news is, although you can play it on home consoles, well the Switch at least anyway, you don't need an entire home console to play this. All you need is a smartphone or a tablet. You can download the full game exactly as you remember it. There has never been a better time to put on those red sneakers, strap yourself in and remind yourself just how good the blue blur was when Sonic the Hedgehog reigned supreme. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. Any Uncharted game could have gone into my list here. They are all great. Nathan Drake here is at it again. He's joined by the old companions and a new one as well. No spoilers. He's climbing around, he's in exotic locations, he's facing off against the bad guys and of course winning. He's gunfighting, punching, climbing, swinging all the way through this absolutely wonderful story. You will be engaged from beginning to end, and when you're finished, you're going to want to play it again. So that was my list. I cannot tell you how hard it was just narrowing it down to 10 games of all the ones I've played. That's not including the ones I want to still, because there is just so much choice out there. What will you be playing this weekend? Do you think I've missed anything off the list that should be there? Will you be playing any of them? Did I mention one of your favourites? All of those questions and more, that's what the comments are for. Please do get in touch. I have many, many more videos coming soon, so until then, I'll see you next time. Watch this space.